So let's have a quick recap. So last week we were talking about some short-term fluctuation in our economy, right? Because we know that sometimes the AD will shift, sometimes AD will change, and the SRAS, it will change too. So if they change, there will be some what we call a short-term fluctuation, and at the end, the economy will be affected. So we mainly focus on when there is a change in aggregate demand. Okay, what will happen to the economy? And we know that this kind of fluctuation is just a temporary shock or fluctuation, because it will be corrected automatically in the long run. Okay, so this is what we have learned last week. Okay, and that's why I have gave you one scenario. So this is the scenario that I gave you last week. So about when the AD is increased. Okay, so which means that suddenly there is more aggregate demand in the economy. Okay, so we see an inflationary gap, right? Okay, yeah, because now suddenly the output is more than the potential output. Yeah, the optimum output that we deserve in the society. So there is an inflationary gap. Okay, but this kind of inflationary gap will not last forever, because we know that eventually people, they realize when there's higher demand, then the price level, okay, when they realize that they are going to, the workers, they are going to ask for higher wages, and also the firms, they have to buy goods and services, or let's say raw materials, ingredients at higher prices. So at the end, you will see SRAS will move as well. Okay, so eventually it will go back to this, right, long run uh, output. Okay, so this is what we call a potential output. So this is the case. So this is the self correction idea from new classical economics. Okay, so this is the main idea from new classical economics. All right, yeah. So very quickly, do you still remember uh, when will the AD curve shift? Can someone answer me very quickly? When will the AD curve shift? So very yeah, simply just try to give me like a definition when the AD curve will shift. Yeah. So if there's any factors affecting the four parties, the spending from the four parties, C, G, I, or NX, then there will be a change in AD. Okay, but what about SRAS? What about SRAS? When will the SRAS shift? When will it shift? Still remember? So in this case, in this scenario, oh, okay, right, thank you. Yeah, so in this scenario, yeah, because people now, they realize, okay, the price level is getting higher, so they are asking for higher wages. Okay, so when that happens to the firms, the cost of production is getting higher. So the SRES curve is moving to the left, right? Because the cost now is getting higher. Okay, so as long as we know how they shift, okay, how the AD shift and how the SRAS shift, then yeah, things will make more sense. Okay, so now we are going to go through this homework. So this homework is just about another scenario, okay? Because we just went through inflationary gap, and this exercise here is trying to ask you to show when there is a deflationary gap, okay? Yeah, what will happen in the short run and long run, okay? So well, you can open the homework that you have done, yeah, and yeah, we are going to go through the answer step by step, okay? Yeah, just open the homework that you have done. Okay. So yeah, so in your homework, okay, you are supposed to have a diagram, okay, a diagram just like the one that I have shown you just now, right? But this time here, once again, when you look at the question, so yeah, so suddenly there's a decrease in investment spending, okay, and yeah, and we know that that will affect uh, the component I, right, the AD component I, so we are going to expect the AD is going to decrease, right? Right. Okay. So yeah, you should have a diagram like this, right, in the beginning. Okay. Yeah. So when we have a decrease in AD, then first of all, you have to identify, right, what kind of output gap that we will have, okay, because of this. So we know that, okay, the potential output level is here, right? And because of the decrease in AD, then you will see there's a new short run equilibrium right here. Okay, so which is y1, right? Right. So you will have to identify. Okay, so now the actual output is actually smaller than the potential output. So you will see a deflationary gap over here, right? So make sure when your homework, and make sure you have this labeling with you. Okay, this labeling is very important. Okay, because this is the whole point, right? To show, okay, because of the short term fluctuation, you see a deflationary gap. Okay, all right. So if that's the case, yeah. So what will happen to the economy in the very short period of time? So when you are looking at the diagram, you just have to explain. You just have to explain different labels. Okay. So when you see that, then yeah, obviously the output, right? You will see the output is lower. So you are going to explain, yeah, because AD is decreasing, and because of lack of AD, then the output will be lower. Okay, in the very short period of time. Okay. So here, right? So in the very short run, okay, so you will see because of the lack of AD, the firms they are not willing to produce at the potential output here, right? Because no one wants goods and services, right? Because the AD is decreasing, right? So at least at first you need to explain this, okay, right? Because of the lack of AD, and you can also identify something from the SRAS curve here. Okay, so take a look at this. When the AD is decreasing, yeah, so the SRAS curve will move along the curve from here all the way to here, right? Okay, and which shows that because we know that in the short run. So listen to this. In the short run, okay, the wages and the factor price, they are very sticky. Okay, so in the short run, the wage level is going to stay at P1. Okay, because of different reasons, the wages are not going to change. Okay, but think about this. So wages or other factor prices, they are your cost of production. Okay, right? But now your AD is getting lower. Now your AD is getting lower, okay, which means the output is getting lower too. So when you have a lower output and your cost of production is not changing at all, okay, which means that you are going to earn less profit, right? Right? When you are going to earn less profit, you supply less. Okay, so that's why that is the reason why SRAS curve is upward sloping. Okay, yeah, because of this. Okay, yeah, because now the output is getting lower, but the price level stays at P1. Okay, so you earn less profit. So you would rather supply less goods and services. Okay, so that's why you will have this upward sloping relationship. okay, for your SRAS curve. All right, so vice versa, okay. Yeah, so vice versa when you think about the other scenario. So let's say when you have inflationary gap. So when the AD is increasing, so which means your output is increasing, okay. But because in the short run, the wages and the factor price, they are very sticky, okay. So when the wages are very sticky, okay, yeah, they will stay at the same level in the very short run, okay. So which means that you don't have to really increase the wages or other factor price, yeah, when the output is increasing in the very short period of time, okay. So if that is the case, then your profit should be higher. Then you will supply more, okay, and that's why you will see this upward sloping curve, okay. Yeah. So yeah, and that's why when you are looking at the labels here, yeah, you should also look at the movement along, well, some curves, okay. Yeah, in this case here, this curve, right, SRAS curve. All right. Yeah. So yeah, there's so much that you can explain in one diagram, okay. It's not just the labels. Yeah, it can be the movement along different curves, okay, the shift of different curves, okay, right. So yeah, all right. So yeah, so here, so this is what you are going to expect, right? The firms, they are earning less profit, okay. So this is what we can see, okay. And yeah, and that's why they are not willing to produce more, because there's no AD, okay. Yeah, and look at this, right? So the real output decreases, okay. This is what we can see, okay. Yeah, and once again, we talk about this, right? Because the wages, they are very sticky in the short run, okay. And that's why they cannot say, well, why don't I just reduce your salary, okay? Because people, the workers, they don't like it, okay. Yeah, you can see how bad it is. It's very, it's more like a demotivation, right? And there are so many other reasons why you cannot reduce the salary in the short run. Yeah, we talked about that last week, okay. Yeah. So at the end, the firms, they have no choice but to fire some workers, okay. Yeah, and that is something that you can see from here, right? So you can see when the output is at Y1, the unemployment is going to increase quite a bit, okay, because we know that at level of YF here, we will have full employment, okay. We'll have full employment because that is the potential output, okay. So Y1, at Y1, we are going to expect the unemployment level is going to be higher than what we have in full employment level, okay, or even yeah, much higher, right? Because in the very short run, wages are very sticky, okay. Yeah, you cannot reduce the salary. So what you can do, you just have to fire some workers, okay, because you're experiencing some tough time here, okay, and this is what you can do in the short run, right? Okay, yeah. So this is the kind of explanation that you should have when the question, let's say in paper one, they're asking you to explain the entire workflow. Okay, what will happen when you have deflationary gap in the short run using new classical economics theory, right? Okay, so this is the entire workflow, right? And at the end, so the same concept as what we did for inflationary gap. Okay, so the price level, okay, yeah, is always slower to realize. Okay, and that's why wages are sticky. Okay, because in a very short period of time, okay, the workers, they don't realize, okay, the price level in our society is actually getting lower. So that's why they always expect to have the same wage, okay, in a very short period of time. So they don't like their salary being cut, okay, and that is why you have some sticky wages in the very short period of time, okay. And once again, right, the workers' expectation of price level, okay, is still P1, okay, because in the short run we assume the prices are very sticky, okay. They're expecting the price level at P1, but actually because of the AD now decreases, the price level is already decreased to P2. Okay, that is the actual price level. Just people, they still don't realize it. Okay, yeah, and once again, that's why you have sticky wages. Okay, right? So that is the reason. And once again here, there are some more reasons too. Okay, you cannot really cut, the wages or reduce the salaries because there may be some contract going on. Yeah, in the short run, so you just cannot do anything, right? Or maybe there is a minimum wage, okay, right? You cannot simply change the legislation of it, immediately. Well, it may take some time, okay, right? Or maybe the trade union, because people, they are slower to realize the change in price level, so the trade union will still fight, okay, for your salary, okay, yeah, because they also believe, yeah, this is not right. You should not reduce someone's salaries, okay, yeah, and at the end, so you will see sticky wages, okay, right? So yeah, so far this is how you should explain, okay, in this question. So in the very short period of time, this is how you should explain it, okay, yeah. So here I'm just showing you the key points, but when you're trying to explain that, right, make sure you do explain things that I've just said, right? So that will make a more complete you know explanation for a question like this, okay, right? So yeah, so that is the very short period of time, okay, and you will see, just like what we did last time, eventually when people they realized, okay, the price level really changed. Okay, so when they realized the price level really changed, then, okay, because now we know that in a short period of time, people, they don't want their salary being cut. Okay, so at the end, the firms, they have to fire the workers. But now they finally realize the price level is actually decreasing. Okay, so in their mind, they are going to be like, yeah, well, see, right now we are having a tough time, and look, I would be happy if you just hire me at lower wages, because I just want to have a job and sustain my living. Okay, so yeah, give it more time. People, when they realize the price level is actually going lower, so they would say, okay, I don't really mind if you lower my wages. Okay, because right now the price level, what we see is actually decreased. Okay, so when they realize that, and they will be more willing to accept lower wages. Okay, yeah. So you see here, this one here, this concept here is, once again, is like a story. Okay, yeah. So yeah, so now they realize a decreasing price level, so they will accept lower wages. So when they do that, okay, when they do that, at the same time, okay, because now, yeah, give it more time, okay, the market is more adjusted. So because of the lack of AD, the market, the goods and services, now they have a lower price level as well. So if you are a firm and you are trying to buy yourself some, ingredients or raw materials, now the prices, they are getting lower. So both of them, when they are together, okay, when they are together, you are going to expect the same chemical reaction. Okay, so you will see the cost of production to firms will decrease. Okay, yeah, because now, yeah, when you are getting goods and services, getting materials, getting ingredients, they're cheaper. And also, when you are hiring workers, they accept lower wages, so cheaper as well. Okay, so cost of production decrease. If that happens, once again, yeah, we know that when cost of production change, SRAS will change. Okay, yeah, and you will see, right? Because of that, SRAS is going to increase from SRAS 1 to SRAS 2, like this. Okay, like this, right? So at the end, you will see, right, when the SRAS curve increases, okay, the point will shift from B to C gradually. Okay, yeah. So this is the destination at the end. Okay, right. So at the end, you will see, once again, the economy will achieve potential output. Okay, yeah. So yeah, eventually it will go back to potential output because of the very long story I just had. Okay, so it's more like auto-correct, correction system, right? It's based on the market. Okay, based on you know what we have in the market. Okay, the market mechanism, and that's why if you don't intervene the market, at the end it will go back to the potential output. Okay, but there's only one thing that has changed. Okay, and that is the price level. Look at this, right? Originally, your price level is here. Okay, but because of a sudden change in AD, then at the end, in the long run, yeah, you will go back to the potential output, but the price level change. Okay, the price level changed, right? Okay, so yeah, so this is the case, right? At the end, it will go back to the potential output, and it doesn't really matter where the price level is, and that's why, okay, your LRAS curve is always a vertical line. Okay, yeah, because this is what we are trying to interpret. Okay, in the very long run, it will always go back to this optimum output. Okay, and it doesn't really matter where the price level is. Okay, right. Okay, yeah. Um, yeah, but in conclusion, this is what we can tell from the case. Okay, well, whether this case here or the case we did last week. So in conclusion, the conclusion here is very important because it is trying to show you the implication. Like, what can we see from here? Okay, so the conclusion here, take a look at this. Look, change in AD, right? Because whether it's inflationary gap or deflationary gap, it's all because of the change in AD. Okay, it will create short-term fluctuations, right? Yeah. Okay, and it would change. It would change the real output and also the price level because of all those short-term fluctuations. Okay, yeah. But the thing is, the economy will always go back to the potential output in the long run. Okay, yeah. And when you think of the business cycle, and if you are the government, you're trying to achieve economic objectives, right? At the end, you always go back to the optimum level. Okay, so any change in the AD is not good because there you are going to create fluctuations in the output and also the price level. So when there are fluctuations, okay, usually people they will suffer. Okay, people they will suffer because of the fluctuations. Okay, it doesn't really matter if the price level is going up or going down, if the output is going up or down. Okay, in a short period of time, people they will suffer from such fluctuations, and that's why we want to minimize the fluctuation. Okay, we want to minimize that. Yeah, because we know that at the end it will always go to the same destination. Okay, yeah. So that's why in neoclassical economics, right? People, the monetarists, they prefer no government intervention. Yeah, just let the market flow because that's the best way. Okay, because if we can keep the AD very stable, yeah, then there will be less fluctuation on price level or output. So at the end, people, they can always stay in the very optimum level. Okay, yeah, and that's why the monitors, they hate government intervention, right? Any kind of demand side policy, okay, is an enemy to monitors. Okay, because when you see this, then when you are trying to manipulate the AD, right? At the end, there will be no change. Okay, but in the meantime, people, they are going to suffer because the price level is changing and the output is changing as well. Okay, so you always experience that, the ups and downs, and people don't like it, right? People just want to have a very smooth, path to go on instead of like a roller coaster. Okay, yeah. So that is, the conclusion that we can make, okay, from the study here. Okay, so no government intervention, just let the market do the magic. Okay, that is the best way. That is the best way. Okay, yeah. So that's the idea of new classical economics. Okay, right. Any questions? Any questions? Yeah, I know. Yeah, this chapter is very it's very content based. Okay, because the ideas sometimes they are very conceptual, and yeah, and that's why there will be a lot of talking. Yeah, right. Okay, so this is the idea of new classical economics. Okay, right. All right. So let's go back to the business cycle here. So take a look at this, right? So when you think about this, okay, you can actually relate this business cycle to what you have done. Okay, so you see the ups and downs here. Okay, they are actually, right, because of the self correction system that you just saw. Okay, yeah. So sometimes you will see some inflationary gaps, right? Yeah. But at the end, because of that autocorrection, you will go back to potential output, right? Sometimes you will have some deflationary gaps, right? But because of the auto correction, you will go back to the potential output, right? But here, there's one more question. If the economy will always go back to the potential output here, then this line, okay, this upward sloping line here will not make sense. Why it does not make sense? If if this is what we have just learned, eventually it will go back to that one point. Why it doesn't make sense? This growth, this long run growth trend, this curve here, yeah, it's increasing. So it doesn't make any sense, right? Because here, we just learned that eventually it will go back to one particular output. But here, yeah, give it time, it is always increasing. Okay, so can you give me any idea in what condition the potential output can really increase? In what condition in the diagram? So yeah, what will make the potential output really increase in the diagram? Okay, technological change. Yeah, right. I would say that's correct. Okay, but in the diagram, so which curve should we move in order to make the potential output increase? Yeah, right. Okay, yes, right. Okay, so Andric and Talia, you are both correct. Okay, so yeah, that's the only way to change the potential output when we are able to move this vertical line, okay, towards the right, right? Because here, think about this. When this line is staying here, eventually it will go back. It will go back to this line, right? So now A, B, and then C. Okay, so it doesn't really matter how you change the AD. okay, it will always go back to this line. So the only thing that we can change the potential output is to move this line, move this vertical line, okay, yeah, towards the right, so that we can achieve something like this, okay? So the potential output is increasing along the way, okay? Yeah, and we know that in most of the economies, okay, in the long run, the economy is always increasing. Okay, the economy is always improving. Okay, so now we need to know how do we increase LRAS. So this is something that we need to know now. And one of the reasons, okay, Andrew already gave us. Okay, so here, yeah, so you can see the LRAS curve can actually shift. Okay, not only the AD or the SRAS curve can shift, LRAS curve can shift as well. Okay, and when LRAS curve shift, we say, okay, there is an economic growth over the long term. Okay, because this one here represents long run. Okay, and when the long run AS curve shift, then we know that this economy is actually having an economic growth over a long period of time. Okay, so that's the meaning when you shift the LRAS curve. Okay, and the reasons for such shift, okay, is very simple. So take a look at this. Uh, you know, this curve, they rarely shift. Okay, because it takes time. Okay, it takes time for LRAS curve to shift. Okay, so what will make it shift? That is the factor. Okay, if there is, you know, a change in quantity or quality of factors of production in a long period of time, yeah. So if there is a continuous change in quantity or quality of factors of production, then the LRAS curve will shift. Okay, so what will make the quantity of factors increase? What will make the quantity of factors increase? What can we do to make it increase? Anyone? What can we do to make the factors, the quantity of factors increase? Come on, it should be quite straightforward. What can we do? Um, well, but yeah, but here we are talking about the factors itself, not the output from from using the factors. So Talia, you might want to change the word use to something else. Okay, well, Michelle, that will be for the quality, right? But here, we want to focus on quantity. So how do we, increase the quantity of factors? Let's say machines. How do we increase the quantity of factors? Capital goods like machines, labor, land. How do we increase it? But more investment. That's it, right? That's all. Okay, you just have to buy more. That's what you have to do. Okay, yeah. So if you want to increase the quantity of factors, you just have to increase investment. That's it. Okay, but about quality of factors. So how do we improve the quality of factors? So Michelle just gave me one. If you're able to improve the efficiency or the productivity, what else? Andrick also gave me that. Yeah, technology. If technology is getting better, what else do you think can improve the quality of factors? Anything else? Uh, yeah, that is a correct answer. Yeah, yeah. If there is better regulations, yeah, a stable economic market, right, etc., etc. So they will be all the factors that will change this. Okay, here, and that's why the LRAS curve in the long run, if there is a continuous change in quantity or quality of factors, it will shift. Okay, so here, take a look at this. Yeah, so you gave me this already. Okay, and also technologies, right? And yeah, if you are trying to get more labor, try to get more machines, more land, that yeah, there will be a shift in LRAS curve if there's a continuous increase in the working population. Okay, yeah, over a long period of time, right? Okay, yeah, and the last one here, right, is something about not the hardware, but the software, the software in your economy. Okay, so you're not talking about technologies, the number of workers or the number of machines. You're talking about something else, right? Like the quality of government regulations. Okay, some other things like the degree of property rights. Okay, and because that will affect the market in the long run. Okay, yeah, the degree of competition, right? Okay, and so many other things like the banking system, is it stable, is the economy very corrupted, etc., etc. Okay, so they are all institutional factors. Okay, so yeah, and that you see when you look at all four of them, they take time. Okay, they take time to see the effects. All right, so when this happens, okay, then you will see a shift in LRAS curve. All right, yeah. So at the end, I just want to quickly go through in diagram. So what are you going to see when there is a change in LRAS curve? So very quickly, so take a look at this. Okay, take a look at this. So this is when you look at the screen, the diagram here, it shows the initial you know position, okay, in an economy, right? So you see the ADAS, okay, and and let's say, so right now this is where it is, okay, the equilibrium, okay, yeah, and here is the scenario. So let's say there is an increase in physical capital, factories, machineries, etc., etc., okay, for a long period of time, okay. So yeah, so if that is the case, how do you change the diagram? So what elements will be affected in the diagram? So what elements will be affected? What do you think? So what will be changed? So now we have LRAS, SRAS, AD. So what will be changed if there's an increase in investing physical capital for a long period of time? So yeah. So obviously, first of all, LRAS will change. Okay. Yeah. So here you see this LRAS will shift from 1 to 2. Okay, but you also see this as well. Okay, SRAS is also shifting along with LRAS. So this is what I can tell you. Okay, so this is always the case when LRAS is shifted. Okay, the SRAS will come along as well. Okay, yeah, because so very simply, SRAS is just part of LRAS, right? Yeah, it's just a matter of time. Okay, so you can just use this as an interpretation. SRAS is just a part of LRAS. So when the LRAS changes, then the SRAS will change in the same direction. Okay, and if you use examples like technological advancement. Okay, so when the technology is getting better, okay, So the LRAS will obviously go to the right. But you know, the thing is, when the technology is getting better, okay, the cost of production, well, we all know, yeah, because of the technology, the cost of production should be lower as well. Because now the things are getting more efficient, okay, yeah, more productivity. So you will see that's why SRAS will shift to the right as well, because the cost of production is getting lower. Okay, so that is the rationale why when there's a shift in LRAS, there will be a shift in SRAS as well. Okay, yeah, they're like twins, right? When the LRAS shift, you will see a shift in SRAS as well. Okay, so anything else besides these two curves will be changed because of this. Anything else? So think about this. Yeah, the AD will increase as well, right? Right? Because an increase in physical capital, right? So when you think about this, okay, so now, yeah, the component I keeps increasing, okay? And that's why you will see the AD will also move, okay, will also move in the same direction too, okay? So at the end, you will see, right? Well, let's say, well, forget about the range of the shift. Okay, so let's make it evenly. Okay, so you will see, right, at the same price, the output, the potential output is increasing. Okay, because of this. All right, yeah. Okay, and yeah, and this is how you can interpret when there's a shift in LRAS. Okay, yeah. And from here you can see, right, the change in AD. Okay, some economists they always argue. Okay, this is important. Yeah, this is kind of important. Yeah, some economists they always argue. AD when there's an a increase in AD in general is great. Is great, but it really depends on what kind of component make the AD increase. Okay, yeah. If your AD is increasing based on the increasing spending from the consumers, they might not be good. Okay, because in reality, there's no growth in your economy when people they are only spending on consumer goods. Okay, think about this. If you want to have a long-term growth in your country and people, yeah, even though in the country you see, oh, the GDP is increasing, okay, but why the GDP is increasing is only because people they are spending more money on consumer goods. So at the end, the country is not really growing. Okay, people just keep spending money on donuts and other junk foods. Yeah, but that's all. Okay, so you can see the increase in AD, okay, because of more investment, is so important. Okay, in an economy, right? And that's why well, this might be out of the top, out of the syllabus, but you will see people when they talk about financial crisis, they always talk about when the bubble bursts. Okay, yeah, when the bubble bursts. So why the bubble? Why there's a bubble? That this is what we are talking about. Yeah, what I just said could make a bubble as well. Okay, because the economy is actually smaller than what it looks like. Okay, right? Because inside the country there might be not much investment. Okay, there might be not much factories. There might be not much industrial production. Okay, it is just something else bumping up the output, and that is just an illusion. And if you poke that bubble, when the bubble bursts, and people they realize there's nothing inside the bubble, so the entire economy will collapse after that. Okay, because people they finally realize, wow, it's just a bubble. There's nothing in there. Okay, it looks very big. It looks like a very big economy, but when the bubble bursts, there's nothing. Okay, this the same reason applies to why the increase in investment is so important in an economy, because that is the reason why. You see here, the factors here, they are most of them, they are basically because of the increase in investment. Okay, and without investment, like solid investment, there will be no long-term growth for an economy. Okay, yeah. So that's why here, once again, right, it shows the increases in investment in one of the AD components is so important. Okay, right. So at the end, you will see, if that's the case, then you will see a long-term growth in your potential output. Okay, yeah, right. So that's all for new classical economics. Okay, so at the end, it's just a very quick summary of the new classical economic model, or you can say monetarist model. Okay, so from the discussion we have done so far, okay, we can conclude that changes in AD, right, like a short changes, okay, some short changes in AD will only produce some short-term fluctuations, okay, and those fluctuations will be corrected in the very long run, okay. So AD is actually very ineffective if you are trying to promote economic growth, because think about that. If you are not increasing the quantity or quality of your factors, eventually that output will go back to the original potential output. Okay, yeah. And if there's a sudden change in AD, right, at the end, when it comes back to potential output, there will be nothing changed in the output, but at the same time there will be higher price level, so you will experience higher inflation. And that reflects, okay, the idea or the belief of monetarists, why they believe that government intervention is unnecessary. Okay, it is just destroying the economy when government is having intervention. Okay, because they believe the magic we have in price mechanism. Okay, we believe the power of a free market. Okay, yeah, and that's why we don't like government intervention, right? And if we have government intervention, eventually there might be something disruptive. Okay, yeah. So that's the entire idea. That's the entire idea, and it also shows from here the importance of investment, right? When there is a continuous investment in the economy, that's how you can really improve your potential output in the long run. Okay, that's how you can, right? Yeah, improve it. That's how you can improve the potential output. Okay, yeah. So that's the entire idea of neoclassical economics. Okay, well, of course, in the reality, neoclassical economics is way more complicated. So here we are just trying to oversimplify the ideas once again. All right, yeah. In this level, so many theories, yeah, it's all about oversimplification. Okay, yeah, because it would take a few more years to learn everything. Okay, if we don't make it oversimplify. Okay, right? So that's it for monetarist model. Okay, new classical model. Right? All right. So that is all for new classical model. And yeah, I think I'm going to make an introduction to the next model. Then yeah, I'll call it a day. All right. So the next one that we are going to learn, okay, we call that Keynesian model. Okay, so Keynesian, yeah, this name here is just extracted from the one who developed the model, Keynes. Yeah, that guy's last name is Keynes. Okay, Keynes. Right. So that is another model. Okay, so we know that if we treat monetarists as a person, we know they are kind of optimistic. Okay, and you see here why we have to learn two models. It's because they have two different views. Okay, so if I say monetarist is very optimistic, then you know Keynesian is very realistic. Okay, yeah, they are two different persons. So the whole idea in this chapter is basically, you can think about this. Okay, it's just two rappers. Yeah, two rappers. So one is monetarist, and the other one Keynesian. They are doing freestyle, rap battle on a stage. Okay, so this is the whole idea. Okay, of this chapter. Two rappers battling each other on a stage. Yeah, because they have different opinions. Okay, they are trying to roast each other. Okay, so this is the chapter. Okay, yeah, and take a look at this. So we know that. Okay, so now we know the economy will be self-corrected from the monetarist point of view, right? Yeah, so this is what we have learned. Okay, but what does Keynesian think about this idea? Okay, so when that guy, okay, who developed this model, okay, that guy is called John Maynard Keynes. Okay, so when John developed this model, he did believe, okay, the idea of the classical model. Okay, he did believe this idea here. Okay, but he raised out one question, and that is this. So yeah, so now I believe, okay, eventually the economy will be self-corrected. Okay, but how long? Yeah, you may be having the same question as well when you were studying a new classical model. Okay, in the long run, yeah, everything will be fine. But how long does it take? So this is what John, okay, asked. Okay, and this is what John argued about. Okay, because you never know how long does it take to get to the long run. Okay, and that's why there's one very famous quote from John, and for the HL students, I believe you have already seen that quote for once during one chapter for HL. Do you still remember that quote? Do you remember something about long run? There's a quote. No, no one. Oh yeah, okay, finally, yeah. In the long run, we are all dead. Okay, and that's it. And that's why, you see here, look, that's why I told you it's like two rappers battling each other. And this one here, it burns. Okay? Yeah, because after new classical economists, they point out, okay, yeah, eventually it'll be fine. Okay? And Keynesian, Keynesians, they argue, okay, I believe you, but when will we get to the long run? And in the long run, we are all dead. So what's the point? Yeah, what's the point for waiting for so long? Okay, when we are already suffering, like in the recession. So that is the problem, and this is why you have to have learned two models. It's because John Maynard Keynes, this guy here, he is trying to argue, the flaws about new classical economics. Okay, and that's why you have so many different quotes. And yeah, this is one very big argument. In the long run, we are all dead. So why can't we focus on something, in front of us instead of just waiting? Okay, so that's the case, right? So yeah, so that's all for the introduction of Keynesian model, and I want you to take a look of this video on your own. Okay, yeah, because this video here is directly related to Keynes, Keynes's thinking. Okay, his idea. Okay, so this video here, yeah, is directly related to that. So yeah. So after this, okay, if you have spare time, watch this video. It's about Great Depression during I think 1929 to 1932. Yeah, something like that. Okay, 1929 to 1932. Okay, and because Keynes was also living during that period, so that's why he came up, his idea. Okay, yeah. right? So watch this video, and then on Thursday we will discuss, okay, this model. All right. So that's all for today. Okay, and I'll see you guys on Thursday. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So that's all. All right. Bye, guys. Bye bye.